Hey, everybody, welcome to the Outerbelt. Season 3. We have made it to Season 3. I am Patrick. I'm one of the hosts, and you all know my friends.
I'm Vince.
Melissa.
Eric.
And Jerry.
And we're here to
Rock your world.
To rock your world, to speak truth into your life, to bring you into the presence of
Greatness.
and kill some time going down the road. And yeah, so I'm excited to be back for Season 3. Season 3. Can you imagine we made it this far?
Barely.
Do
And
you
the people
know?
are waiting. They're on pins and needles.
Pins and needles. Y'all
When are you
been
coming out?
harassing us. Like, this is some bull. Y'all should not. Who takes the summer off
Right.
besides, like, what have y'all been doing? And I'm like, well, lots of people take summers off. They got,
Right.
students and
Yeah. Got things to do.
other people,
teachers.
teachers and other people.
Right.
And it's not like we weren't working.
We
We
Sure.
were still,
were working.
well,
Right.
Most of us were working.
touchy subject.
Most of the
Anyways, so
summer.
we'll, maybe we peaches that part out. I don't know.
No,
so,
I don't think we do peaches that part out. I think that I'm going to let the bitterness shine through
all right.
Oh, good grief.
I can see it. It's all over the facial hair.
all over the facial hair. It's
So
so,
it's just
hang on, that's a little just bitters from my cocktail. I made
okay.
earlier,
Go.
so.
I knew it was bitter. So no, it's been a fun couple months. Very relaxing. Got a lot of work done. Got a lot of relaxation done as well. And we thought, you know what? If we're gonna kick this off, since y'all been asking where have y'all been, well, by George, let's tell you where we've been.
Yeah.
So we are going to give you a quick synopsis of what we've been doing over the past couple months. Shouldn't take longer than 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
At least.
Yeah, and I
Between
think
the 5 of us?
yeah, I think it's an hour and a half per person, right? What is that,
Think
real
so.
quick? That's
Sure.
like 7.5 hours. And Jerry's going to edit down to 15 minutes. So
I thought we agreed to make this a YouTube short at less than a minute.
a YouTube short.
Yeah.
Oh, we've already blown it.
But Jerry
We've
has
already
skills.
gone over. We've already messed up.
He can speed it up in certain spots, slow it down in other spots.
That's true.
It's going to be like 50x.
The end.
Like when old school. So a third of our audience will understand this. The other 2/3 won't. But back in the day, you used to have these round things called records.
Yes.
You put them on the record player,
Right.
and they had a little switch. They could go between 33 RPM or 78 RPM, right? So you ever take a 33 and then you speed it up to 78 and listen to it, and it's like the most ridiculous
Yeah.
Yes.
Chipmunks Christmas song you've ever heard in your life. That's what this will be like.
That was
You can do it
fun.
the other way, too, though. You could slow it
You
way.
can slow it down.
Way down.
And
It's like Christmas, Christmas time is near.
Yeah.
You
Anyways.
actually hear the actual voices of the chipmunks.
That's right. That's
People
right.
play the chipmunks. Yeah.
Oh,
That's funny.
that's great.
That's good times.
So where do we begin?
Where do we leave off?
We left off in May,
Okay.
mid-May, I believe. Is that correct? Anyone fact
Mid
check?
to end.
Okay.
Mid to end May, and it's now August.
Already, I know. Can you
Sure.
believe
I
it?
can't. Well, I can
Jeez.
because when you step outside right now, it's very clearly August.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Today was a day.
I went down to the lot and was working with y'all for not long, 30
long,
minutes.
yeah.
Like a pretty quick little trip.
Yeah.
I got back in my car and started heading back up to the office, and I'm like, it is so hot out there. Like, it's funny because it didn't hit me until I actually got in my car and started driving away. And then I was like, wow, it's really hot.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hot.
Yeah.
And then with that AC blowing on full blast, you just coming off the windshield. It's just,
Just the heat.
there's nothing you can do
Yeah.
about it. It was crazy.
It was a hot day. It's days like today that I wish I was going through FedEx trucks and not Panther trucks. Because if they were FedEx trucks, I just turn the reefer onto the box
Just cool it
and get a
down.
little cooling.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And the Panther trucks, it's just a oven.
I
Just bakes me.
I've tried that. Have you been successful at that?
Yeah, and the FedEx trucks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've done. I remember doing it in the past. And for those of you who don't know, I used to do what Vince does now. So when he came on board, I got demoted to the office. But so when I was working on the trucks, I tried that a few times, and I found that all it did was just blow the air right out of the back of the box. So I never could
You do get some cooling effect.
You
It's
do?
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, I
It's
guess
better than
so.
just being in there with no moving air.
What about
and
a
just baking.
giant fan? Throw up on the lift gate and turn on for when you're working in there. Would that be?
Yeah, the problem then is all the crap on the floor It's gonna
just blow
sandblast you.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get in
true.
there and sweep them out, but all the
But
crap
even
on
still,
the
can you
floor is gonna
imagine you're like
sandblast you.
sweeping? Because sometimes, you'll get a truck and it'll have like or you'll get a pallet at a shipper or receiver. I guess it would be a shipper, not a receiver. And there'll be mud on it or something
Oh, yeah.
sometimes because those pallets aren't the cleanest. And so it's inevitable. You get mud, dried mud, you get
Mhm.
all that stuff, dirt in there.
Yeah.
So when you're sweeping out, you can get a little bit of a cloud, but we're doing it smaller. Can you
Sure.
imagine having a big fan blowing right on you
Yeah.
while you're doing that?
Yeah.
It's just a mushroom cloud. You can't breathe. You got to go into full respiratory gear. Oh,
That's a good
In the
idea,
back of the
though.
truck in a hazmat uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if we just start buying reefers for all of the trucks?
That'd be great. It costs a lot of money. Probably put us out of business.
Oh, you know
but
what
that'd be
you
great.
know what we could do? We could do.
What might could we do?
We're not gonna, but we could.
Uh-huh.
We just take a $100 Walmart window unit
Yes.
and we just bolt that in
Right.
in the very front of all
There
the
you go.
boxes that
That'd
don't
be
have
great.
There you
reefer
go.
units.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Turn it on, take 6,
Mhm.
7 days, you finally cool it off, and
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you decided not to do that already.
I do remember like when we were. It's funny. I just had this conversation when we were running freight. Eric and I ran both dry van and reefer, and intermixed. I mean, like we would be in a reefer and then we would jump to a dry van and back because we always took whatever truck was available. And the nicer trucks, we always put the better teams in, and we would just take what's left over, right? Being in Yuma, Arizona, in a dry van in the middle of August, you open up those doors
Oh, yeah.
and you could bake cookies like
Wow.
instantly.
Oh, well,
It's
you-
just so
you
hot in
wouldn't-
there.
You wouldn't bake them instantly. You burn them.
Yes, you'd burn them instantly. On a reefer truck, even with that insulation, even if you're not running the reefer box, it still doesn't really get that hot. Or it will, but it takes a very long time to get that hot.
I was going to say that I looked at one today. We actually picked one up from a shop today,
Mhm.
and I turned the reefer on because I always run the reefer, make sure they're working properly. It was 34 degrees Celsius inside that box.
That's toasty.
Granted, yes, it had been sitting outside in the sun for
Yeah.
the weekend at least. So, yeah, but I understand what you mean. It takes a few days, yes, to get
Yeah.
that cold. But
We had the other thing. So that was one thing. The second thing I noticed was so on those boxes, the roof of the box, some are a sheet of aluminum on the dry vans, and
Right.
some of them are translucent fiberglass. I don't know what that is.
yeah, something like that.
The
Something stronger than just plastic.
Yeah, it's not plastic, but it looks like translucent
Yeah,
plastic, basically. Those are dramatically cooler
they are.
than the metal roofed ones. Unfortunately, we've pretty much only started doing the roof ones for a couple of years now, so our translucent ones are starting to make their way out of the fleet. But yeah, that little thin piece of fiberglass plastic, it does not radiate heat like that metal does. That
It does
metal,
not.
man, it'll burn you. Like if you touch it, if you have to go up there and like
It's
change
hot.
a bulb or something, it way over 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy hot that thing.
Wow.
Anyways, so yeah, but it's beautiful outside. Not a lot of clouds in the sky.
No.
I mean, if it wasn't so hot, it is actually quite lovely outside.
It's a gorgeous day outside. It
Right.
really is.
Yeah. So I appreciated that. Last night, y'all came over and we called up since Eric and I have been gone for a bit. We'll talk about that in a minute. It was nice just being able to sit outside, hang out with y'all. We actually had a cool breeze
Mhm.
for
It
a
was
little bit
very
last
nice.
night. We got
Yeah.
really lucky. And what's really funny is right before that happened, Eric was like, maybe we should cancel. And, because it is so hot. He was in the front yard working on,
I was playing around with my plants.
yeah, you were staking up a plant, right? Like,
So it wouldn't fall over.
yeah, one of those tall, ridiculous things. Eventually it gets too tall, it starts to fall over, you're going to stake it. And he was doing that, and he came inside just completely head to toe drenched wet, just like it is so humid, so hot. But there
Just sitting there.
was no wind flow in that front corner of the house. As soon as we walked to, and I was like, oh no, because that's not got sun on it.
Right.
The back, our back where we hung out does have sun. I was like, oh, this might be a crap show. But I said, no, let's keep doing it. If it's too hot, we'll just sit inside. But I hadn't seen y'all, so I wanted to catch up, and it was just perfect. It was just a nice breeze. It never got too hot. We just
No.
really got
Well,
lucky.
we had the breeze coming down the river,
Yes.
and then also the fan out there.
Yeah, we did the fan
having
go.
a fan going too, so it kept the
Yep.
air moving nicely.
So it's that time of the year where the nights are lovely and the daytime is just brutal. But just think about it. You're going to hear this recording here in a few months, and it's going to be -10 outside.
Right, yeah. The complaints will go the other way.
So it's yeah, it'll swing the other side.
The nice thing about the reefers is I can turn them up a little bit. And
You
some
get that heat
back
going
there.
too.
I went
Yeah.
grocery shopping yesterday and I already bought pumpkin spice.
Oh, it's
Kramer.
too soon. Too
We
soon.
were at Costco like 2 months ago, maybe a month ago, and they had Halloween costumes on the shelf already.
Mhm.
Mm,
Just
Mm.
insane.
yes, I agree.
I'm looking forward to next week going Easter shopping.
Hobby Lobby has.
I was gonna say Hobby
Christmas out
Lobby.
already.
Hobby Lobby had Christmas out in February.
They just don't put it away.
They just don't put it away. No kidding. You'll hear about this in a minute, but we were in Savannah, and the other day, and in Savannah, Georgia, they had a store with all the Christmas stuff inside of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, really?
Yeah.
It was a Christmas store, but still, like, seems early. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but if that's your business 24/7, 365, you're a Christmas store,
Agreed.
Yeah.
which I respect that. I can avoid you, but just going to like Joann's
know.
or Hobby Lobby or Kroger and they're like,
Yeah.
Christmas. And I'm like, it's August.
Anyways, well, I'm glad y'all stayed with us to hear this ramble about the weather, and Christmas and seasons and whatever
Yeah.
else. But so we left it. You left you in May, and I think Eric and I were the first ones to leave the city, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you were.
So Eric and I left and had quite a fun trip. It was actually our first time going to Paris.
Wow, your first time in Paris.
First time in Paris. So I've been in France before. We've both been in France before. We did Normandy and Le Havre a few years ago on a transatlantic cruise. Had a lot of fun in Le Havre. I mean, like, the piano player on the cruise had to be escorted back to the cruise ship with two people holding her up
Wow.
because there was too much wine consumed at one of the a British pub
in
in
France.
Yes.
As you do.
It was crazy. The Beatles were there.
Really?
It was nuts. It was, yes.
I do remember you telling that story.
It was a lot of fun. And everybody took care of each other, which I thought was really cool. You know, when that kind of thing happens, everybody just, you know, the people that, you know, enjoy themselves too much, they get helped, that
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. Those of us that stayed adult in that situation, which we did, I don't know. I just really enjoyed our time there. So I was anxious to see, okay, what's Paris like, right? So Eric and I set out to go to Paris, and it begins badly.
Oh, no.
So we had planned that if I got to remember how this works out, Melissa. If I'm not mistaken, you were taking us to the airport.
Yes.
I heard that story.
I volunteered to do it.
You volunteered to take us to the airport.
Yes.
And so, but we were gonna take my vehicle, right?
Your vehicle.
Okay, and then
And I was going to,
you were gonna drop
you were
us
going to
off.
pick me up. And then, yes, we got it all worked out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, I think we were supposed to be at the airport for like 5 p.m. We were gonna leave around 3, right?
Correct.
I knew there was a bad storm going over New York City, but it was gonna clear out by then, so who cared? Well, around 12:30 in the afternoon, get a notification from Delta, your flight's been canceled. And I'm like, well, that's not good, because the very next morning, at 7 a.m., we were flying to France, to Paris. So I'm like, oh, this is not good at all. So I jump online. I'm like looking, trying to find a reschedule. They rescheduled us for the next day. That wasn't going to work. So I'm like, look through Delta's website, see if I can find another flight or whatever. I couldn't find anything. So I'm really freaked out. So I called Delta and talked to someone, a lady at the Diamond Medallion desk, Code Diamond Medallion, was able to get us on a flight, Columbus to Atlanta, Atlanta to Charlotte, Charlotte to New York.
Oh,
And
I
it wasn't
do
even
remember
and it
this.
wasn't even going to JFK. It was going to LaGuardia. And I'm like, that's fine. We can take a taxi when we get to New York and get back to JFK, because our hotel was at JFK. So I'm like, I can make that work. That's fine. And they made it happen. And she's like, the only thing is your flight leaves in like 50 minutes. And for those of you who don't know, we live 25 minutes away from the airport.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of room for error.
No.
It didn't take off. It started boarding in
Boarding.
50 minutes.
Okay.
So Eric and I mean, like madhouse crazy, start like turning things off and throwing things into the car and just as fast. I called you and I'm like, run away. I don't care what you're doing. Stop doing it. Run away.
Yep.
And you were like, okay. And I'm like, I'll explain to the car. So
I met you in the cul-de-sac.
you met me in the cul-de-sac, and we did like, when you have you ever seen the Secret Service driving academy stuff where they take the limousine
Right.
and they like do a U-turn in like 6 feet? I did that. We scooped Melissa up. Eric popped the passenger door. We scooped Melissa up. We didn't even stop moving. She shut the door, and we were on our way.
It
and
was
she
crazy.
clicked the seatbelt in, and we were gone. It was fast. And then it was just however legally fast I could get to the airport is what I did. And I pulled straight up to the gate, or not to the gate, to the entrance, and we hugged her and grabbed her stuff, and we ran like praying they would take our luggage, because within so many minutes of a flight, they won't
Right.
take your luggage anymore. Luckily, we barely made the cutoff, and then everything through TSA went good, and we walked straight onto the airplane. It was awesome. So we took off, and we're flying to Atlanta, and now it's like you're relaxing. We're trying to calm down, and I was so wired. I'm like, I had the TV in the screen, but I'm like I couldn't even watch TV. I just had to like think for a little bit, and I played my game and listened to a podcast. And while I'm playing my game, get a little bloop.
Your
Your-
flight's been canceled.
Your flight from Charlotte to LaGuardia has been canceled, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, does God not want us to go to New York? Like, what's happening here? What don't I know? And flying in the air, thankfully with free text messaging with Delta. Actually, now it's free internet. You
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
full-on free internet. Delta's really made some good improvements. I know they had a meltdown while we'll talk.
Yes.
And we'll
We'll
talk
get to
about. We'll
that.
get to that. But no, I was texting with the lady because Delta actually has this feature where you can text them. If you are a Delta flyer and you don't know about this, under Contact Us in the app, there's a place to text them. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Most
There's-
of the time.
Most of the time, there's almost never a reason to call. It is really, it's slick. So I'm texting with the lady at Delta, and I'm like, my flight just canceled, and I told her the situation, and she was like, all right, let me work on it. And I said, look, we need to be in New York tonight. I don't care if we can fly together. I don't care if we have to take separate airplanes. I don't care if we fly to different airports. Like, we both have credit cards and Uber. We can, like, you fly me to LaGuardia, fly him to JFK, fly me to Newark. Like, I don't care. We just have to get there. That's the only thing. Because if not, then I'm changing my international flight, which is a much bigger deal.
Right.
And then the whole thing with the hotel, a lot of those hotels, if you don't check in when you're supposed to, they just cancel your room and you're just out the money. So I'm like, and especially with Paris and the Olympics and all, they're being very tight on that stuff. So
Sure.
I'm like, I've got to get on this flight. And so sure enough, she found one seat on each flight going from Atlanta to JFK, an hour apart from each other. But I'm like, we'll take it. So she booked us both of those flights. I got the first one out. So I'm like, okay, well, when I get to JFK, I just got to wait for an hour, and then Eric will join me. My flight got delayed on the runway, on the taxiway. For whatever reason, we had like a 30, 40-minute wait. And so when I landed at JFK, Eric was only like 20 minutes behind me.
Wow.
So I got my luggage, like while I was getting my luggage off the conveyor belt, he was literally landing at JFK. So it was hardly any inconvenience on that end. Made it there, walked over to the hotel, spent a whole 2 hours at the hotel.
That's it?
That's one of those things that you look at and you're like, that was a waste of money.
Wow. 2 hours.
It's a waste of a lot of money.
It was a waste of a lot of money. So we actually got to stay at the TWA Hotel, which I don't know if y'all have stayed at yet. It's a really cool hotel in New York City. It is actually if you haven't heard of it, look it up. So it's the TWA terminal, the old Transwest, is it Transwest Airlines? TWA? Whatever it means. They're the ones that went up against Pan Am,
Eastern.
all the Howard
PSA.
Hughes's airline.
Yeah.
So they were a big deal. They had a really cool terminal at JFK, and it's actually, if you ever watch Catch Me If You Can,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great movie.
his stuff happens inside that terminal, and it's like the long red carpeted tunnels that lead to
Yeah.
the runway. That's TWA. So what
Wow.
they did is TWA went out of business in the 90s, and nobody used the terminal. So people are freaking out because like Pan Am had a beautiful terminal there. They tore to the ground, and there's just been a lot of these older terminals at these airports don't really make sense anymore. They're not best anymore. So there was a big thing to save TW terminal, and they did, and they're trying to figure out what to do with it. And a hotelier was like, "I'll take it. Like, let me lease it from y'all, and I'll make it work." And he built 2 towers on either side of the terminal that are very nice, very like 1960s outside architecture. Really fits in quite well with the design of the building. Um, the terminal serves as the hotel's lobby, which is huge but super nice. And you take the two red carpeted hallways, one to each terminal, and then in the middle where the two towers, there is a Connie, an old Lucky Constellation airplane from like the 1930s or whatever it would have been, and that they converted that into a bar / meeting area.
Cool.
So like they've done a
Wow.
lot to really make it a very cool place. It's got that old huge scoreboard thing, where it would say like all your flight terminals and
Oh,
then
yeah.
or all your flights and what gates they're at, and then it does like the
The
thing,
flipping.
like a Rolodex
Yeah.
looking thing with the numbers, and then it updates and everything. It's very cool. It's very like to renovate that was like $2 million, just that one thing.
Wow.
So they've done a really great job with it. So it's a hotel I really, really like. If you're an airplane nut like I am, on top of one of the towers is a swimming pool and a restaurant bar area, and you can just sit there and just watch all these planes come and go from JFK outdoors. It's really nice. I've had some really great memories there. That being said, it is kind of expensive, and also for 2 hours,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a nice chair at the airport would have been fine. It was such a waste of money. I was so angry, but it was I almost always get cancelable, non-refundable rooms because I travel so much, or we travel so much, and we cancel rooms so rarely that I'd be losing money hand
Yeah.
over fist if I always got refundable rooms. It was, we went, but it was really just, I mean, literally get in, take a hour and a half nap, and then get up and leave.
Wow.
And from that point on, it's pretty uneventful, right? I mean, no
So
problems.
Paris.
Eric,
How was Paris?
Keep going.
how was Paris?
Very French.
It was very
But we want to hear somebody else's
We-
voice besides Patrick's voice.
yes.
So you get to Paris. First thing you see is
So long ago. I do know our room had perfect view of the Eiffel Tower.
Well, I wouldn't say perfect.
Perfect for me.
Close enough. Yeah, we did.
Good food?
Yeah.
We did the whole like don't get a car, take the train in.
Mm.
From Charles de Gaulle. That was a situation. Not knowing which ticket to get and everything, and we ended up getting a 5-day pass or whatever it was for the trains, and it was ridiculous because the 5-day pass is on like what, an 1.5 by 2 piece of paper.
Yeah, it's like whenever you go check luggage in somewhere and the bottom half an inch,
right.
you
that's
pull
what
it
they
off
give
and
you.
keep that with you. Yeah, that's the size of their transit tickets.
For 5 days.
Boy, be careful. Don't lose that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and you can see them thrown all over the floor like cigarette butts.
Yes, because it's the exact. It looks identical to like just a single trip ticket. So people use the save for the single trip ticket and then not throw them in the trash or throw them in the trash or whatever. Like it's ridiculous. But yeah, that was weird. I mean, because we got 2 bags each, and we're taking up room, and it was just super stinking awkward getting there. But we got there, and we stayed at the Pullman next to the Eiffel Tower, like he said. We had a little balcony.
Yeah, about 3 feet wide,
Yeah, enough to step out there,
10 feet long.
but not big enough that we could cross each other like whoever's in the the far side, you'd have to get up and move to let them pass or whatever. I was not expecting much out of Paris. Right? I think y'all know me by now. I like the unusual places. I don't really care for the really popular places. I don't really like touristy traps. Some I do, but most I don't.
Sure.
I like to be where people are and not where tourism takes place. And
Where tourism is the overwhelming
correct, yes,
dynamic.
absolutely. And Paris is so famous, and it's so the city of love, and it's so blah 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 blah, right? So I'm like, it's not going to live up to its hype. It's going to be very mainstream. I don't know that I'm going to like it that much, but hey, let's go. I at least get to go see the Eiffel Tower, do some things I wanted to, right? This is going to come as a surprise to y'all, but Paris is awesome. Like, it is so nice. I liked it so much. I was genuinely surprised. I mean, really, it was like on day 3 or 4, I'm like, wow, this is actually a really cool city. And it's like, well, no kidding. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you mean the place that's literally known as like the city of love is a cool place. What a shocker.
Right.
But I had so much fun. The food there is amazing. I mean, it's amazing. We went to like some bad places and it was great. You know what I mean?
It's all the butter.
Maybe. It was fantastic. I really, man, I loved it. Went to our first Michelin star restaurant. Went to 2 different Michelin star restaurants while we were there.
Very nice.
That was cool. The first Michelin star restaurant had the most unusual item on the menu.
Which was?
I don't remember.
Pigeon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Isn't that squab? Same thing?
That's what they call. Yeah, it's squab. Yeah.
Squab.
But
huh?
I
What?
asked. Pigeon is also called squab. Like cows are called beef.
Oh, okay. I didn't
So
know
I
that.
actually asked that question of you when you sent that picture. I asked, "Oh, is it pigeon on the menu?" And you said, "Yeah, it's called pigeon on the menu."
It's called pigeon on the menu.
Yeah.
Because there's several restaurants I saw that was always called pigeon. I never
Mm.
saw squab.
Hmm.
Is squab a French word or is it that
I have
from
no
another
idea.
country?
It's probably American.
Probably
trying
American
to make
word.
it sound better than pigeon.
I would eat squab. We have that in America. I
Mm-hmm.
gotta find these restaurants. It was so good. It was juicy. It was like a really dark meat, like a duck or like a really dark
Picture being
piece
like
of
a
chicken.
Cornish game hen.
Kind of, yeah, very similar because I had one of those at one point too.
Yeah.
But a little bit better. I
Sure.
really enjoyed it. I was really shocked. I'm like, man, this is the rat of the sky. How does it taste so good?
We had neighbors growing up. Just as an aside, there was a huge palm tree. I grew up in Southern California.
Mhm.
Huge palm tree in our next door neighbor's yard, and there were neighbors. I don't know, 6, 7 houses down the street that were from American Samoa,
Oh.
and they would come down every now and again with a BB gun, and take pigeons out of the tree, and go home and eat them.
Wow, you should have
It
gone.
was a thing for. I should have. But I was young. I was probably, I don't know, 6, 7 years old. So I didn't know.
Man, it was stinking delicious.
I believe you. I believe you.
I love those. I didn't know this either, but a lot of those Michelin star restaurants are tasting menus, which means you sit down, you order the menu. Some of them will actually tell you what's on it. Some won't. There was one place we went, and they were like, "What won't you eat?" And then you tell them like Eric has a sesame allergy. He can't have sesame, so we told him that. But if you don't eat fish, they would have made note of that too. But we eat everything, so we didn't even know it was on the menu. We're just on for the ride. But the first place we went to, we did know it was on the menu. We did get to look at it. I think was there a couple different choices, right, Eric? I think there was a couple choices.
Yeah, but not many.
Not many, but a couple. And so we decided which one we're going to go with. You could do water, you could do soft drinks, or you could do like buy a glass of wine or whatever. But what I really liked was they had the wine tasting menu
Yeah,
as
the
well.
pairing with the menu.
Yes, and so every course they pair it with a new wine.
Which is dangerous.
It does, yeah, it's dangerous-ish, but I will say this, they're only giving you a couple ounces.
Yeah, they're not pouring you a full pour of wine.
Correct. You're not getting a 9-ounce cup every
Right.
time they, can you imagine? You'd never be able to walk out of that place.
You couldn't.
Um,
Eric wouldn't get through his first glass of wine.
I
before the
know,
whole
it'd
meal
take
was done.
forever.
Drinks
There
so
were,
slow.
listen, on both, we did the wine pairings on both, and on both times, they were serving us our next wine pairing before either one of us got done with it.
I
And
was
it's like,
halfway
chug.
through.
I'm like going back to my college years of like chug, 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 but it's wine, not beer, so it's a little
Right.
different. But
Yeah.
no, it was great. I really enjoyed it. Had so much fun. I do want to find more tasting menus here in America. So if you're out there and you're like, oh, if you like tasting menus, if you like multi-course deals, you need to check out this restaurant. Please let me know because I
Yeah,
would love to experience
definitely.
more of them. It's a lot of fun. You might get one you don't like, but if you're getting 7 courses, you know.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
the courses aren't big.
Mhm.
They're fairly small courses, but you have so many when you leave there, you're like, I'm not eating forever again.
They're like-
Um,
They're like appetizers.
yeah, appetizers. It reminds me a lot of Barcelona. We were in Barcelona last year, and a lot of the food there you can get at tapas. Like that's all they invented it. I mean, it's their thing.
Right. Small
Um,
plates.
Which yeah, small plates, which is awesome because you're like, I'll take the shrimp, garlic shrimp, which is usually like $5, and you get like 4 or 5 shrimp, but they're prawns, they're big size prawns, and then you get this and that and that, and ultimately you've spent $20 and you've eaten like a king, and it's awesome. You
Yeah.
know, like in America, you go to McDonald's, you get a double cheeseburger and a Coke, and they're like $25, and it's like, well, okay. So I do appreciate that aspect a lot about the places that have the multi-course options. But no, it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Had a great time. Like I said, went to the second restaurant. We told them, they asked us, what can't you eat? Sesame allergy, and that was really cool because that night was actually sponsored by a winery. So everybody got the wine pairing because that's their deal,
Wow.
and everybody got a special menu that was not the normal
Oh,
menu.
wow.
And that was a 2 Michelin star restaurant, and that was the weirdest experience I've ever had in my life. We literally we knocked on the door, and they let us in, and they were like, "Mr. Lee, Mr. Hyfield, yes." They took our coats and then set us down and brought the first course. There was no discussion of would you like this or that or none, zero,
Here's
just
what we're serving tonight.
exactly. No talk about money, nothing, nothing. Just like you just came to my house and it's like, all right, well here, let's eat. It was crazy. It was so cool. That was 10 courses or so. It was a lot of food.
Wow.
It was so much food. It was so good. Eric discovered a new fish, monkfish. Was that what it was? Monkfish?
I don't remember.
I think it was monkfish. Is that meaty fish you really liked?
I think so.
I think yeah, it was quite good. We had it a couple times on that trip. At the very end of the day or the meal, get ready to leave, you step into the little lobby, then they give you your bill and a credit card machine, and you just discreetly really quick do it, and then you're on your way. It was awesome.
Wow.
Freaking awesome. Delicious food. I mean, they age all their own steaks.
Sure.
Like everything is
Yeah.
their own stuff. It was kind of weird though. They had these, they look like refrigerators, but I know they're not. And like inside of one, you see like a bunny hanging upside down, from the neck down, skinned, but from the neck up, it still had like the fur. It's just like little weird things like that. Several fish hanging, smoking, things like that. It was very cool to see some of that stuff, and that wasn't really like for the public to see. It's just a small place, and that just is where that section has to be
Sure.
at.
Interesting.
So, yeah, had a great time there.
Cool.
So again, those were the nice restaurants, but I mean, just pop into a cafe or whatever. The crepes we got were great. I got my croque monsieur. If you go to Paris, you have to get a croque monsieur. It's a ham and cheese sandwich, but they're using different cheese and ham. I don't know how to describe it. It's maybe it's
Probably
not
different bread too.
maybe yeah. I guess it's that non-GMO stuff. And that Iberian ham is to die for, and that's my favorite. Actually, I discovered the croque monsieur when we were in Dubai years ago. The French pavilion actually had that, and it was yeah, it was a lot of fun. Did the Eiffel Tower as you do. Do you remember how expensive the champagne was?
All I know is we had 2 servings.
We did have 2 servings, so we were joking about it. The higher you got in the Eiffel Tower, the more expensive the champagne got. So if you're at the very top of the Eiffel Tower, that little bitty platform,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Huh.
it was
The heck with that.
it was like $65 a glass.
Wow.
I mean, it was
Ridiculous.
it was at Moet or whoever the nice one is. It was nice champagne, but it's like I could buy a bottle for that. Like that's insanely expensive.
Wow.
And then
For the extremely romantic people.
yes, I guess so. I'm like, this is solely so you can get your Instagram with your
Right.
champagne. Like there's
Bubblies,
no other
yeah.
reason. It's complete ridiculous. And it was in a fancy flute and all this stuff, right? And then and you could also get caviar.
Oh.
Mm.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh. Which are the French known for their caviar? I always thought of like Serbia and Russia and in that area, right?
Well, I think when you're talking somewhere like Paris, where everything is
They're getting it.
the upper
Decadent.
echelon,
Yeah.
decadent. Thank you.
Okay. So
Then you're doing caviar.
okay, I guess
So I
that
said
makes sense.
better. Decadent.
Yeah.
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 And they get that good Amish butter over there too.
they import it from America.
They do.
That's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
You go down a level on level 2, and the prices get a little more affordable. You're looking at like let's say it was like $20-$30 for
Okay.
a glass of champagne. You're not in Moe anymore. You're with a different one, but whatever. It's still decent. And then finally on the first floor, which is not the ground. In Europe, first floor is actually above
top.
ground. Not
Not
it's
ground
just-
floor, but one up.
Yes, the ground is 0 usually
Right.
in most of Europe.
This
So
is, we call it the commoners.
yeah, so on the first floor, if you're looking at the Eiffel Tower, it's where that giant arch comes together, and it's a huge floor. And they have a couple big restaurants on it and stuff. Well, they also have a little cafe outside, super cool, and the champagne is 2 for $20. So
Oh, there you go.
that was ours.
There you go.
So we got that, and I mean, you're still at that point, 300 feet off the ground. I mean, you're
Yeah.
still pretty high visibility area. Found a couple chairs, kicked back and relaxed, and we were just going to be there for like one glass of champagne. But after you're there and you drink a glass of champagne and you're looking out over beautiful Paris or whatever, it was like
You're not in a hurry either.
you're not in a hurry. It was like,
we weren't.
yeah. What's another glass, right? So Eric runs up and he goes and grabs them. Really cool. Those are in a more of a traditional looking plastic champagne glass, but nice, like hard plastic. And they were souvenir glasses, so you can take them with us. So we have 4 of those now, that we're going to put under the counter, and in 6 to 8 years we'll throw them away.
Nice.
Like
As you do.
as you
Yeah,
do,
as
as you
you
do. But yeah, that was.
Is that elevator or stairs?
So it is all elevator, but between levels 2, 3, and the ground, you can stair it. And Eric and I did stair it down, not up. No, to heck with that. We elevated up, and then we staired down.
Okay.
But they won't let you from the second floor to the third floor of the summit. They won't let you walk that. And it's far. By far, like it's probably 500 feet straight up.
So it's elevator.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And is it a glass elevator?
It is. It's kind of in the middle of the tower, but you do see all around, and they have a mirror, not a mirror, a window above you.
That's pretty cool.
So you are looking out the whole time and checking out the scenery as you go up, and then once you get up there at the very top, there's a Gustav Eiffel, the guy that built the thing. He had an office up there.
Yeah.
And so we got to see the office and his little apartment up there and stuff. And they've got it staged with him and
Man.
Thomas Edison.
Like mannequins.
Yeah, with him and Edison. And it was very,
I didn't know all that was there.
I heard rumor it was there, but I didn't know. But when we got up there and you look in there, you're like, I'll be darned. It's just
Is there
right there.
a cost to ride the elevator?
Yes, there is. So you can get the park surrounding it, because we've all seen the Eiffel Tower. So, there's a big park around it. So the park around it is free. It's just a public park. You can go walk underneath the Eiffel Tower. Doesn't cost you a dime. But to go up it costs. And then how high you want to go determines how much you pay. But it's not crazy. Like our tickets to the very top summit were like 30 euros a person. So it's not insane. They could charge 100 people to pay it.
And does that allow you access to all the floors?
Yes,
But you get to go all the way to the top at least.
correct. Yep.
Well, that's
So
pretty cool.
yeah, and then if you didn't want to go all the way to the top, but you just wanted to go to that second or third floor, or first or second floor rather, then the tickets were a little bit cheaper, maybe 15 euros, something like that.
Sure.
So, which the Eiffel Tower, not Eiffel Tower, duh. The New York City, it's very Empire-ish.
Empire
The
State
Empire State Building, They do the same thing. If you go up to the observatory observation lounge, you have to pay additional money to go up to the very top part of it.
I see.
So it's not like crazy unheard of, but yeah, it was really cool to see it. One thing that kind of surprised me, I knew Gustav Eiffel was a very successful engineer and did a lot. If you look at the Statue of Liberty, inside of the Statue of Liberty, all the framework that holds all that together, his firm designed. So he and his people actually designed that. So we in America we have a Eiffel built structure. It's the
Wow.
Statue of Liberty. When we were in Portugal, you remember this, Jerry, in Porto, there's a huge bridge, and it's like 2 levels and a big arch going over the river. And the bottom level is for cars, the top level is for pedestrians and trains, right?
Yep.
And it's a huge bridge. It's massive. Eiffel built that. And he did several others as well. So when it came time to build the Eiffel Tower, they wanted to build this thing, and his scope was so large and so expensive, they didn't have the money to pay for it. So he financed the project himself. He went out and got the lenders. So when you see like on the wiki page, or they talk about like this bank financed the thing, well, they actually financed Eiffel. They didn't finance the city of Paris. So he financed it with the agreement that he would run it for 20 years. He would have 20 years to sell
Recoup his
tickets and
income.
recoup his investment. And he said that they thought it would take something like 12 years to recoup it,
Mhm.
and then the rest of it would just be profit. And he did it in like 42 days.
Wow.
The Paris Exposition, which is why it was built, which is a World's Fair, was his thing was so much more visited than they ever expected. People went nuts over it, and he was able to recoup his investment that fast.
Wow.
Wow.
Crazy,
Wow.
crazy.
So then the rest was just profit.
The rest was just profit, and he was able to pay his bank loans back, and that's why he was doing all the experiments. That's why Edison spent so much time over there. It's really cool. For me, I really like it because like not only is he famous, but he was a good businessman.
Right.
You know, like Tesla, not the car company, Nikola Tesla,
Right.
a genius man, horrible business person. And so it's kind of like I like that you're able to do both. You're able to be an excellent engineer and really hone in at that point iron bridges and ironwork, and then you're also able to figure out a way to make money at it and
Right.
then be a successful business person. I mean, Edison did the same thing, right? He did Consolidated Edison up in New York with electricity, and he was wealthy. But yeah, I thought it was great.
That's pretty
Really enjoyed it.
I was gonna mention the field that was next to the Eiffel Tower.
Yes.
They were doing construction, so it was completely vacant.
Yeah.
As opposed to any normal time of year, non-Olympic year, it's normally packed with people. So not only did we enjoy champagne twice on that level, we also got a perfect view of
Yeah.
just the grass and the architecture.
Yeah.
People.
They had just started building I don't even know what that's for. Do y'all know what they used it for in the Olympics?
Beach volleyball was right in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
So they
That
built
might
the
have been it.
stadium right in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Kind of like in an intersection of two.
I don't know. I've
Okay.
only seen a picture of the stadium and the tower behind it. I couldn't see anything else around
That's
it.
got to be it, because on the other side of it is a big government building.
Yeah, I'd imagine that probably was it.
Okay.
Because this was early June, so I could see them building that then. Yeah.
Yeah.
cool. You were there
sometimes
just
right.
prior to the Olympics
we're there-
starting, amping up for the building.
Correct.
of it.
Yeah. So like we still went to the Cathedral Notre Dame. They're still rebuilding from the fire, so we obviously couldn't go to it,
Right.
but we could at least see it pretty easily. And then it was actually nice. They had the grandstands built in front of the tower.
Yeah, they had an open space directly in front of it. I'd say 100 feet.
We did go to the Louvre. So Eric and I can say we've been to the Louvre, and I gotta say they make a really good Havana Club rum and Coke because
Outside the Louvre.
that's all we did. We they have a little cafe right next to the pyramids, the big glass pyramids, which I always thought it was a glass pyramid, but it's multiple.
Interesting.
Yeah. the things you learn.
Yeah.
And all that's actually free to go inside. You can go inside that area and see a lot of this, like where films have been made. But if you want to go see the artwork, you got to pay more money. But we didn't go down there. We just hung out at the cafe. Um, we had a burrata. What do we have there? We had some food. I don't remember what it was. And then kept on walking. But it's massive. Like when people talk about online that you could spend a whole week at just the Louvre and not see everything, they're not lying. It's massive. I mean, it's ridiculously massive. It's crazy. So I totally understand why it's like you could be there forever. I'd be over it. I can't even imagine walking that whole thing. I would be so done. Like I'd have to have a highlights tour. It made the Vatican thing look tiny. It is ridiculous. And then the Arc de Triomphe, which is the most confusing thing on earth to get to. Do you remember that? Like walking back, you get out, you go from the subway, and you're in a tunnel, and then you end up on the outskirts of the Arc de Triomphe because there's a road that goes around it, right? So you're on the outsides of it, and it's like, okay, so we got to go all the way over here to get our good photo op. And so then it was like, well, how do we get to it? And there's a tunnel to get to it. So we get to take the tunnel down there. We get to where they allow you to go up there and walk. There's two places. One is for you to go buy tickets to actually go up into the Arc de Triomphe. And there's a viewing platform up there, which I didn't know was there. I didn't realize that. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I was just in the Eiffel Tower. Like,
Right. Yeah.
why would I want to get in that thing? So we're like, we just want to do the free thing. And they had it completely blocked off. You couldn't get to it.
Oh.
So we were like, all right, well, let's take the tunnel as far as we can and see it from that angle. And I mean, it kind of looks the same. It's pretty two-dimensional. So if you see it from the back, you've also seen it from the front. But we got our pictures in, and then started our walk down what's it? The Champs de what's it called?
Champs-Élysées.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I know these things from watching the Tour de France.
But we got to walk down and see all of our best friends. We got to see Christian Dior. We got to see who
Louis
else?
Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton was there. Louis Vuitton is
That was a very unique building.
they are not messing around. They are not messing around. The building was literally one of their Louis Vuitton trunks.
Wow.
Just massive. I mean, like
A
probably
whole
what
block.
8 floors high, maybe something like that. 8 or 10 floors
Wow.
high. The whole city block, just massive.
No windows.
No windows. Beautiful. Even had the wood grain around where they bind it all together, and had all the LV diamonds or logos and everything. It had the huge
The
rivets, the handle, the little knob thing. The knob thing are like the little clasp.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be at least 20 feet tall, right? Like
Wow.
huge.
So is this road like Rodeo Drive
Yes, but
or
more like
what's
Fifth Avenue.
Fifth Avenue?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, but cleaner, wider sidewalks, a little bit easier. I remember that time you and I went down Fifth Avenue, it was a little bit of a cluster. This is a way more
Yeah.
open and
More
really nice,
more
beautiful.
trees.
More trees. Started raining on us, so we had to tuck into
Arcade.
an arcade, which is not where you play games in Paris. An arcade is just a mall.
Enclosed mall.
It's so sad.
Huh.
I was gonna get my Miss Pac-Man on,
Right.
but
Air hockey.
I know, right?
So what happened after Paris?
Got to mark another thing off my bucket list that I've always wanted to do. Took a train ride through the Channel.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
we actually
impressive.
we took the train from Paris to
London.
London, and those of you that know Eric and I, we love London. We've been there a lot, many times. And if you are interested in going to London, let us know. We'll be happy to give you some tips. Love London, and we did the train there. Then we did a train to our hotel, and all that went pretty smoothly. And we were sitting in our hotel having a aperitif, I think it's, or no, a digestif. So that's a drink after your meal. And would you believe the surprise when we had 2 people walk in that we were not expecting.
Really?
Yes. Do you know who that was, Jerry?
A
It was-
queen and queen.
I know, right?
king
It was
of-
like, was
of
it-
London, of England?
Take a wild guess. Jerry,
Was it
guess.
Well,
Kate
it
and
was a queen
Charles?
that walked in.
It 2. Um,
I was gonna say it was the queen and queen.
There you go.
yeah.
Nice.
So who was it?
Yeah, it was me and Don.
What?
Yeah.
Surprise.
That's a big surprise.
It's a big surprise.
And had we not planned it, it would have been
Yeah,
really
whoa, yeah,
shocking.
Been crazy had you not planned it.
Some explanation.
How
Imagine that.
exciting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was great.
Yeah.
I remember I was following their whole flight over from America and everything.
You're like, did
and-
they have the troubles we had?
No.
No, oh, everything they did went splendidly. I'll let you explain.
Oh, it was fine. I mean, because I learned when we went to Portugal, we did the very, very close flyover, then catch the international flight from JFK, and that was a debacle. And we ended
Diamond
up-
Dust got to save us for that one too.
Yeah, that was a whole big old mess. So I learned from that trip. So this one, we booked a whole 24 hours in advance.
Wow.
We went over at like 6 a.m. to New York and stayed in a hotel all day, and then the next day caught out
Nice.
of JFK.
Nice.
So
That's a good.
That makes
Travel
sense now
tip.
why when we went to London before Christmas, we got to JFK at like 9 in the morning, and we didn't fly out to London until 8 o'clock that night or something.
Yeah.
So we spent the day in New York gallivanting.
It
Yeah.
was a fun gallivant.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yep. I enjoyed that because you get into New York City and they have a luggage
Check. Back,
bag check there
Yeah.
that you can
Luggage
leave your
hotel.
the luggage hotel. Leave your luggage there. It's not cheap, but it's not too
It
expensive.
wasn't expensive. No, it was
Um,
worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. And then, well, the city's your playground. Go and have fun. And I also like that because the first flight of the day is the least likely to get canceled.
Right.
And, we leave at 7 a.m. Well, if that flight gets canceled, there's 6 more
Right.
going to
Sure.
JFK before our flight. So you've got lots of backups.
Yeah.
And I knew better and I screwed up. But anyways, you were saying, sorry.
So you arrive in London.
yeah, and luckily Patrick and Eric were there, and they were kind
That'd have been awkward if we wouldn't have.
I know, right?
I think you and Dom would have made do.
We would have, but I knew beforehand that Patrick had everything planned out, so it was great having our London tour guide as Patrick,
Wasn't he fabulous?
because he took us to all the tour spots.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
we did everything from the Eye of London which was awesome, and
Did
we
you
got
ride the eye?
yeah, we did, and I bought. I think we gave you the keychain and everything. We got a group picture of all of us, and
Fun.
that was really, really neat, and walked me all over London like crazy.
Right.
I
I
was
believe it.
All
sweating.
12 to
believe it.
15,000 steps per
Listen,
day.
That
I-
first day, I looked at my Apple Watch and it was 12 miles. I clocked
I
that.
believe it.
12 miles.
It was probably smoking. It's like, I've never done this before.
No, I did more in Italy. We did 14 in one day.
Yeah.
So, because he kept saying, "Oh, we got to be Italy. We got to be Italy," and I'm like, "No, we
we
don't."
couldn't do it. We
No.
couldn't do it. I tried. I
It's too-
Big
definitely.
Ben was nice.
I'm sorry.
Did you Big Ben?
Yes, got to see that.
Yeah.
And,
I saw that you did the Uber boat. Did
we
you have to run for yours?
nope. We were there. We were there plenty of time. We actually
Nice.
sat there and took pictures, and
No, but I did get yelled at.
yeah, you
I
did.
got yelled at by the
Again?
lady. So apparently, you're supposed to. So you get on the Uber boats. There's the little post there. You swipe
You
your
swipe
card,
card,
and then
yep.
you go and wait in line. Not anymore. Now you wait in line, and then before you get on the boat, they have you swipe right when you get on the boat.
Oh.
And she was like, "Did I tell you to swipe the card?" And I'm like, "No." Well, then maybe don't swipe the card. And I'm like, "Okay, sorry." Like
Oh
it
my
was,
goodness.
she was mean. And then immediately after that, she was the nicest person in the world. Did you notice that?
She did, yeah.
Immediately afterwards, she was a sweetheart. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
But yeah, London was a lot of fun. We got to see a lot of stuff. It's an amazing city that I would love to go back to. Like, I cannot, to this day, I still talk about it with Don. Like, one of the highlights was Patrick and Eric treated us to afternoon tea,
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
which was amazing.
You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it when we walk in and they're like, "We don't belong here. What are we doing here?"
Yeah,
I don't even-
I felt a little out of place at first, but it was an experience to behold
Yeah,
for sure.
afternoon tea is pretty
I think we
interesting.
should do it here. Wouldn't that be fun on a Sunday?
It would be. There's a tea house here.
Really?
Yeah, I looked it up with Eric one time. There's one here, but we've never pursued it. Only one. I can only
I
find
just
one,
think it'd be
but
fun
still.
to do it ourselves.
Well, it's so. Do you know how to make a cucumber sandwich?
Sure, why not?
Salmon sandwich.
Salmon sandwich?
Why not?
I can Google it.
I know recipes.
You got clotted
Maybe we all
cream?
bring
It's,
something different.
Yeah, could you? Ooh, if we could do clotted cream, I'm on board.
Oh, that was
You
good.
could probably buy that from a store somewheres.
Well, you know what was funny, right? They obviously were not expecting us. I had a reservation, but they didn't have a clue because we showed up and they put us at the mommy and me out for tea. I mean, like the table was shorter than this table. This table,
Our
if you're
knees were
listening,
all up.
yeah, if you're listening and you're not watching, this table's what 22 inches tall, 21 inches
It's a
tall.
coffee table. It's not tall.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
coffee table. It's not tall. I'm telling you, like a little bitty Fisher Price table. I mean, solid marble
And there's
top. It
4
was
of you?
nice, and there's 4 of us, and we're in these little bitty, low to the ground seats, and like you said, you're chewing on your knee because it's right there at your face. I mean, it was just, and they're like, give us a moment. We'll get you some water, and we'll find you a better table.
Oh.
It didn't take long at all.
It didn't take long at all. It was only a few minutes, but
Yeah, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
yeah.
What was your favorite part of tea?
Just
Other than the whole ambiance of it.
that and just the different amount of flavor teas that you. I mean, I had no
Yeah.
clue.
Oh, okay. So I gotta say real quick, when you do tea,
Right.
a lot of times you do them at hotels, like the fancier hotels have them, and they'll have half a dozen to 10 tea options, something like
Right.
that. And then a lot of them have like you can do champagne if you would rather instead of tea, or you can do like a cocktail instead of tea if you want. So they do have some options, or some do even do like coffee, which I don't know why you would, but anyways, this place was an actual tea house.
Oh wow.
So they had literally like what 24, 30 options.
I
It
think
was-
more like 30 or 40.
It was pages and pages of tea. I've never seen that much options for tea
Wow.
in my life. It was bananas.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
So I had like some kind of cherry something, but it had cherries in it. It was really, really, really good.
Nice. And I know you like your tea.
It was good.
Good.
And
And what did they bring it out in?
Little teapots.
Yeah, ceramic.
Like
teapots.
ceramic,
A
like
whole pot just for you.
a whole ceramic teapot. It was the cutest little thing. It really did have like the whole like when you see I've never had this happen in real life, but when you see like TV shows or movies where like the mom and the daughter or
Having a tea
the
party.
funny thing is the dad and the daughter having a tea
Right.
party or whatever,
Right.
right? And they had the little ceramic teapot. It's like it was that. Everybody got one of those.
Yeah.
And they seeped it right there in front of you, and it was all loose, so you had to use the little filter every time you poured it.
Wow.
It was nice.
That's cool.
It was really nice.
It was really nice.
It was based on a time limit, so you had as much as you want.
As much-
Eat, drink
eat-
for 3 hours.
Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
It was. We all left there in pain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all consumed a little too much. It was like, I was not on plan for that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right, the clotted cream in the scone.
Oh, it was so good. I think that was actually the first time I've ever had a scone. So
Those are good.
yeah.
It's amazing the difference between a scone in London and the scone in America.
Yes.
They're not serving you rocks.
Yeah.
No, they're almost like,
Fluffy biscuit.
yeah, I was gonna say English muffin, but they look and they are the size of an English muffin,
Right.
but that's
Nothing
where
like-
that's where they
that's
end.
Yeah.
It's
They remind me of a good biscuit though. Like if you do biscuits and
really
gravies,
good one.
or anytime bread is option for breakfast, I always do a biscuit. And there are some very misses, but occasionally I get a really good hit where it's that flaky and it's the buttery
Yeah.
and it's not dense and
Yeah.
it's not airy. It's like the perfect, somebody knew what they were doing.
Like a sheep's head over at Skillet.
Yes, and so that's when I remember going last Christmas time, that's what I remember the scones were like. We're just kind of just small, dainty, and just hitting all the markers of a good biscuit.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
I
which
hate
is not the scones here. The scones here are they're dry, they're cakey,
yes.
they're fruit and this and that and another. So we fancified them.
Well, that's an interesting thing too. The scones are so good over there. I hate raisin. I don't like them. If you give me a cinnamon roll with raisins in it, if I can pick the raisins out, I'll eat it. But if you can't, I'm out. I don't like raisins. The scones over there were so good that they give you a raisin scone and a regular scone, and I ate the raisin scone and didn't say a word.
Wow.
I'm like,
Well, by the time you had all the goodies
Oh,
on it, are you really
man.
going to taste
the
it?
accoutrement really help. They really
Uh-huh.
do. Um,
And we had the wonderful fish and chips,
Nice.
which was really,
As
really
you
good.
do, yeah.
You know,
you know, where did y'all get that at?
the first place was all.
First place. It's literally all they ate the whole time they were there.
The pub that you guys had been to
Yeah,
already.
buddy.
Is that the
Okay.
Yeah.
shepherd's
shepherd's
pie
pie.
one?
Yeah,
I
I
could see
told
them
'em-
doing
Yeah.
amazing fish and chips.
Well, it's more of a meat pie, not so much shepherd's.
yes.
But
Sure.
I told them to get that, and they were like, "I'll take the fish and chips," and I'm like, "Okay."
Did you try the meat pie?
No.
Don
You know they're not gonna. Patrick's not gonna sample.
Don had
Could have got an extra.
none of the
one.
meat, none of the gravy. No, sorry, none of the meat. But he did because I don't eat the bread bowl part of it too much. So he cut a piece of that off with the gravy, and he tried that, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it's
But I could see them doing good fish and chips.
It
Yeah.
was good.
yeah.
Was this before or after Harrod's?
After.
Yeah, we'd already walked and
Yeah.
gotten
It's right
directions
there
as-
next to Harrod's. I
Yes.
figured
Yep.
it was one or the other.
Yeah.
That place is crazy too.
It's just so big.
Yeah, huge.
You just get so overwhelmed.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you had a good time.
It was amazing. I would love to go back.
How many
Okay.
days were you there?
5.
And
So
then
5
what?
days and you came home.
Nope. Patrick said, "Hey, let's continue the adventure."
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh.
So I looked up, last minute deals
Right.
on as you do, and I saw it going out of Dover, which
Maryland.
is Dover, England, which is only like what, an hour and a half, hour and
I thought
15
it's
minutes.
Delaware.
train
Delaware.
ride?
You're right. It's Dover, Delaware. I'm sorry.
We took the train down to Dover. That's where they have the white chalky hills, or not hills, bluffs that go into the ocean.
Okay, I've
Yeah.
seen pictures.
So it's like you got the green grass, the white chalky cliffs,
Yeah.
Right.
and then blue water.
Hmm.
I think
And
it's one of the nicest ports I've been to.
it was super nice, and we got on a Carnival cruise line because when you're in Europe, you definitely want to take an American
Definitely
cruise
take American
line.
Cruise line.
Yeah.
It's the only way to go. And we went sailing.
How
yeah,
exciting.
a 14-day cruise.
Oof. 14
Wow,
days.
That
14
long?
days. Wow.
It was that long.
It was, yeah.
Wow.
Oof. It's a long cruise.
It's a good time. So where'd the cruise take you?
Our first couple of days was at sea, and then we ended up in Iceland,
Yes.
which was amazing.
Amazing. It was so fun. I've been wanting to go to Iceland for so long, and I knew y'all kind of wanted to go as well. We had mutual friends that went a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And so we saw the pictures and everything. It's like, we got to make this happen.
So I got to ask the question. Iceland in summertime, was it cold?
When we got there, it was like 35
Okay.
degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, you ruined my joke. I was going to
Oh,
say when we
I'm
got
sorry.
there, it was beautiful, sunshine and and warm and just gorgeous. In reality, it was 35,
Rainy,
rainy,
Windy.
windy,
very cold.
very cold, and to make things just a little better, it was a tender port, which means we actually had to take a little boat from the cruise ship to the port. So when you're on the cruise ship, not that big of a deal, but when you go to get back on the cruise ship, you're just standing in line, just getting rained on, cold, wet.
They don't have any
Agitated.
coverage for you, huh?
Nope. A
It,
10 foot by 10 foot canopy, but that's hard to put 1,000 people under a 10 foot by
Oh.
10 foot
Yeah, a
canopy.
little bit.
it definitely wasn't like the higher end cruise lines. Carnival just kind of didn't care.
Just deal with it.
But we got to see the cool stuff there, man. Do you remember the church?
With the rainbow painted
Mhm.
stone
Yep.
path in
This
front of it.
huge rainbow. It must have gone on for half a mile of stone pathway to it. Made some really cool pictures.
Wow.
And then,
And then where did we end up? Where
we-
would Patrick and Eric end up
Well,
anywhere?
Don brought us into a souvenir shop. I don't even know what that place was. They sold like some crafts and some wool and some, I don't know. It was interesting.
Okay.
It was warm and dry. So it had some very winning options. But yeah, as Eric alluded to, we went to the next building, which was a pub, and they had some really good coffee. Right, that's what y'all got. And then we did. It was first time in Iceland. I don't know what to order. Right, what's Iceland known for? Not certainly not alcohol. So they had a local beer. So we got a local beer, and it was good. It was crowded, man. We walked in that place. It was like a happy hour at a hopping pub. I mean, it was like packed.
2-story
Yes, but
pub.
I don't even know if we realized it was two-story when we walked in. It was just like, how do we get out of this cold rain weather? It was miserable. Like we would have all happily stood there to warm up, dry off, and get some caffeine. It was
They have food or just beverage?
they had
Both.
food, but we started late, so we'd already had lunch on the boat.
Yep.
So this is like 1:00, 1:30 in the afternoon.
Did you eat any local food other than your local beer?
Not there.
Not there.
Not there. We saw lots of people did. We saw quite a few people eat, and I felt vindicated because there was a couple of excursions you could do there, but none of them really appealed to me. And we were sitting at that table, and some couple of people came over, and they had the little sticker that you wear when you're on a tour, and so we knew they were carnival people, and so we just asked, "Hey, how was it?" or whatever, and they were like, "Not good," and I was like, "I knew it." So
So their excursion didn't pan out.
it wasn't great. So I'm like, I hate that for you, but at the same time, I'm glad to know I made the right decision and
Yeah.
and didn't bother doing anything. But then we were there for like an hour, weren't we?
Yeah, well, a couple hours probably, but it was a little small town.
Tiny town,
Yeah.
tiny town.
Not much to see.
Not
No.
much, but breathtakingly beautiful. I will say this: the weather sucked, but it was in a fjord, so you're surrounded in a valley, surrounded by mountains. There's, I don't know, 50 waterfalls. You could just turn around and see 50 waterfalls.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Now there were a couple that were big,
Hmm.
but tons of waterfalls. We walked over and actually got some pictures at one of the waterfalls.
Yep.
Lupines growing all over the place.
hmm
They grow like weeds over there.
Wow.
If you don't know what a lupine is, it's this thing right here.
Um,
Did you see the
bright,
volcano that
bright
day?
lavender flowers. They stand up about 9 inches tall.
Yeah.
Grow in bundles or bushels.
We left there and the next port we went to, chilly but no rain.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, once you get out of the rain, and it wasn't as cold.
And not as windy either.
That one we did the Super Jeep tour.
I thought we were going to die.
Y'all, there's not many times in my life where I've been like, we might have made a mistake.
Yeah.
That was one of them.
Oh.
The Super Jeep was a converted, 1998 Ford 15-passenger van where they put a lift kit on it and four-wheel drive modifications.
It
and
looked cool.
It looked cool.
it looked cool. It had the suspension of nothing. Whatever cushion those tires gave you, that
it.
was the suspension.
Wow.
It was brutal.
The whole time she's driving that thing, she's just constantly back and forth.
Oh my
back and forth,
gosh.
back and forth. Like, and then she'd get faster and faster, back and forth, back and forth. Like the whole thing is just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I thought we were going to flip.
Like when you're a kid and you're learning how to drive and you think that driving is just turning the steering wheel left to
Right.
right, left to
Yeah.
right. That's what she was doing.
Wow.
It was brutal.
That's how
It
I
makes-
feel in the green van on 270 between FIDA and the yard.
Yeah.
That's where it's just crazy rutted.
But the roads. That's
The
the roads.
patchy
Yeah,
part,
the
yeah.
road's terrible.
yeah.
And it was an extremely long drive.
It was
Where were you going
yeah.
to?
It was like a 7-hour tour, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was-
7 hours in that
Uh-huh.
thing?
it was all over the countryside.
all over that
and-
section of
yeah.
Ireland. Yeah. We
No
Went to
paved
it.
roads?
some.
Oh, okay.
And we also did some off-roading. We did off-road around a dormant volcano, but still a volcano. We went and saw these huge crevasses of where the magma settled and everything, and that part was really pretty. And then we went to a gorge that was massive and beautiful, but my golly, the midges. Do you remember that?
Yep.
I mean, you couldn't breathe without having a bug going up your nose. I was starting. Could you tell there at the end? I was starting to lose my mind. I was really breaking down into the child fetal position, losing my mind.
You're like-
I had regressed.
Driving, bugs.
No,
You guys were done.
I could deal with the driving. The bugs, they were just everywhere. It was like, you ever been inside of a thing of
Swarms.
a swarm of gnats, and you're like, you just can't get rid of them. You just got to walk out of it.
There was no
Imagine
walking
that
out
if you
of
couldn't
that.
walk out of it. Yeah,
Oh.
it was brutal. They didn't bite, they didn't sting,
But
but
still, the annoyance of having them fly right in front of your face and not being able to get rid of them.
it's terrible.
Needed a beekeeper hat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I literally took my jacket out, put the hood on top of me, and wrapped myself around it and walking around the whole time.
Yeah.
So the only thing like this, the
Oh,
only thing exposed.
and the next day my arms are so sore because of just doing this for a couple hours. Just it's brutal. So
And that's when Patrick went on the Amazon
and bought some.
and bought some
of
hat
those.
nets
Yeah,
to cover her face.
it was rough. What did we do the next day? What did we do the next day?
The next little town was the one that had the hearts and the red lights.
Oh,
I forget the name.
we
of
did.
it,
That was a
though.
big bus tour. We were on like a charter bus thing.
They had
um,
went through economic hard times at one point, and the mayor of the town thought it would be uplifting to put hearts in all the red lights for the townspeople. And then,
Oh, so the traffic light red
Yes.
lights were hearts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
and then later, whenever the town got better and they rebounded from everything, everybody loved it so much they left it.
That's cool.
It was neat.
Yeah, and that was really cool. We went down the coastline and popped in, and just the terrain. I mean, that's what you go to Iceland for, is the nature of the terrain. It was just unbelievably gorgeous. We went around the entire, what do you call that? The peninsula. There's a huge volcano there. We got to see, also dormant. It was just spectacularly beautiful. All the birds and stuff. Never saw any freaking puffins, but the rest of it was beautiful.
Which one did we go to? The Black Pebble Beach, the bus tour.
Yes.
I think it was that one.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. Normally, I don't like beaches because of sand getting between your toes and feet, and it's hard to get it off whenever you get back in your vehicle. But to walk along a beach with black pebbles,
Yes.
unique. I liked it a lot.
It was very cool, and that it was weird too because they had like random metal pieces all over the
Rusting metal pieces.
rusting metal pieces.
Now we're talking like 3 foot long
yeah,
pieces
big
of
pieces.
steel.
And apparently they had a boat wreck, or a boat explosion several years ago,
Wow.
like 50, 80 years ago, and those parts and pieces washed up on the shore, and
They left them.
they
Or to
just
the
left them
beach.
for whatever reason. I don't really get it, because I'm just thinking, like, does everybody just get a side of tetanus when they come here? Like, I don't. Seems dangerous, but it was beautiful. And the water was like crashing in and doing the big up and everything. It was really cool. I really enjoyed that part quite a bit. And then we went to that hotel, the fish in that weird dining room, and
Poor Eric couldn't eat anything because they never could determine. if
no,
it had-
that place he
Oh,
could,
yeah.
that place he ate.
Oh, did he?
It was the other. So the previous day on the Super Jeep,
Yeah.
These Super Jeep.
that
Lunch.
one, 'cause he again sesame allergy, can't have sesame. The top of this fish has looks
I-
like sesame,
I compare
black
it to
pepper.
whenever you get a bagel and it's got everything bagel.
Yes, it looked like everything.
You don't know what all's in it.
Yes, and they could not. That particular place could not care less about his allergy. They were just like, it's fine, and it's like, well, we're not doing. It's fine. You know what I mean? So we went to the next place. They didn't have any of that on there. It looked more like just a regular grilled piece of fish, and they were very cared about it. Went back and actually checked with the chef and everything. So that one we actually got to eat at, but that was frustrating. So we found a table. Like, there weren't a lot of places for 4 people, but we actually found one, and so we get the chairs and we set it all up. And Eric and I sit on one side, and Don and Jerry are starting to work their way to the other side because they're like long tables. You have to like squeeze between people to get to them. And these 2 people, bless their hearts, push Jerry out of the way, and they grab those 2 chairs and sit down across from us.
What?
Yes,
They didn't see that he was going to take the seat?
they didn't care. And the reason we know they didn't care is because they were actually on the previous day's excursion with us, flying drones in places where they weren't allowed to fly drones. We actually talked to him about it at one point, and he was like, whatever. And
I've got a
like,
license. I can do
I
it.
can do it. And he's like, there's no place that says no drones. Anyways, like Jerry and I pointed out 5 different places where it said no drones, and he was flying it, and like just a real bad attitude towards us and all the stuff. So it was like when they did that, it was like, there's no point in this. This is going to be a fight. There's no reason to have a fight. So they got to sit with these people who were charming. The whole time Eric and I are eating there, we're not talking to people across from us. We're listening to their conversation at the other table. They're just laughing and ha ha ha, and every now and then that guy over there and that, and it's like,
How awkward.
like it was super strange. Yeah.
How
And then
weird.
the people in front of us, the ones that cut them off, they sat through the soup, which is the first course they got. We got soup, and they ate that, and then they were like, "Well, we don't want to do this." And so they got up and they left, and they went to the grocery store next door to buy other food, and then came back and ate that in the lobby. But by that point, they'd already made friends. They're not going to
Right,
like
they're
turn
not gonna
around and
move, yeah.
move. So it's like, wow, you did all that for like 10 minutes of just to screw
Weird.
us. It was very strange. So, but I did end up making friends with the family next to us, so we were able to talk with them. It was weird. That cruise was 99%. I'm gonna say 30-year-olds and up, right? No kids, none on the boat. So the family next to me had kids, and I'm like, "There's not many of you on here. What made you think to
Yeah,
bring your kids
right.
to Iceland?" Like, I don't know. For going here, there's a lot of places you could have gone. So it was kind of cool to get to know them and meet them for a little bit, but it was just like, wow, what a weird move. And then you're sitting across from nobody, and I don't know.
How weird.
It was very odd,
Yeah.
very odd. But the rest of that was cool. We climbed a mountain.
I was about to say the mountain. Yeah, I still haven't got my wish. So.
My wish is a little more long term. But you want to explain the rules?
So you evidently had to climb. I don't remember 100% detail, but you had to climb this mountain, and you could not, going up the whole entire time, you could not talk, and you could not look behind you. If you, before you started up it, you made a wish, and if you did those 2 things and made it all the way to the top, then your wish is supposed to come true.
So very close. There's an arch you go under, a pergola.
It's
And
it's an obvious start.
It's an
to
obvious
the trip.
start. So you, at that point, you can't talk anymore. Like I said, can't look backwards. You do have to walk all the way to the mountain. In the very center is the ruins of a temple that used to be there. And you get there, look to the east,
Mm-hmm.
and they actually have it marked off for you. And that's where you make your wishes. So I mean, I guess you could have already had your wish in your mind when you went up there, but that's actually where the wish making took place. And
know-
yeah.
How
I
long is
noticed
this mountain?
Huh?
I noticed one of the ladies when we got to the top.
Oh,
It's where
Oh.
the steps stop and it flattens out. And one lady thought she was already at the top, and oh my gosh, she was complaining.
oh.
And then when you realize you're up there, that's not the end of it. It flattens out, and you still have to go to the middle of the plateau area, and that's where the end is, and you're supposed to get your wish.
And it's not flat. It's still an uphill. So like when you get to the top of the steps, it's like, okay, well, I still have to walk uphill
It's
to
just
get
the
there.
steps
Right.
stop,
And
but
she
you're still
was
climbing up.
She was not having it, and she was going to make sure everyone
Everybody
knew. And it was a ridiculous, like, because the lady on the tour bus said, you are climbing a mountain, a hill. I mean, really, it's a hill. You are climbing this thing, and it's a clear path, and there are steps. It's, we're not belay on, no one's putting mountaineering gear on. We did it in our tennis shoes, and other people are in like sandals. It's not crazy. And she says it's a pretty easy walk. I've done it a ton of times, but if you do have any kind of mobility issues, you may not want to do it. And this lady's like, you said it was going to be It is not easy. I mean, just full Karen. Just,
Yep.
It
was it flat? By no means. Was it straight up? No.
No.
I mean, it was a gradual.
lots of places to step off if you needed to take a break.
But don't look behind you.
Don't look
talk
behind you.
anybody.
Yeah, but they didn't say anything about just stepping to the side and taking a breather. That's fully allowed.
You just
but-
can't look behind you.
Oh,
And you
man.
can't talk.
Yeah.
So when she went full Karen, did anybody talk to her? Or you just walked
No,
right by her?
everybody ignored
Everybody
her and kept
Everybody
ignored
wanted
going.
their
her.
wish to come true.
Yep.
That's right.
And then when the tour guide finally got up there, she really let her have it, and she was like, "Well, I did say," you know what I mean? Like, It was yeah, it was interesting, and it really, honestly, it was not that bad of a walk. Like, it really wasn't.
I was a little embarrassed for her.
Yes, I felt the same way. It was super odd. What was really funny, we made a joke about it, is once people got up there and made your wish, then you're free to talk. You know, you're no longer under the spell. And so we're like talking, and people are like looking at us, and it's like they're not sure if they should talk or not, and it was very funny on the way down. But then they had some dogs. People were playing with the dogs, and um, it was great. It was really, that was really fun port. That was another one that was like a long 7-8 hour trip.
Wow.
And then we went to the last place in Iceland, which was Reykjavik,
Yeah.
which was the first city that we seen, and
Yeah.
went to the Blue Lagoons.
I mean, we're 5 days. This is the first city we've seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's been a while.
Everything else was all country.
Went to the Blue Lagoon.
That was an amazing experience as
Are
well.
those the hot springs?
Yes.
Yep.
Not natural.
Nope.
I did not know that.
Really?
I thought the Blue Lagoon was a natural phenomenon. It is not. It is actually they have a a thermoelectric plant. So thermoelectric is they take these giant pipes, run them deep into the earth, and connect them, and so cold water goes in one side, and when it goes down there, it gets superheated, so it comes back up the other side of the pipe as high pressure steam, right? And then that turns a turbine, and then it goes into an evaporator coil, so it turns back into water, goes back down, and it just keeps repeating itself, right? This is the runoff. So when they have too much water, it runs off into these pools, and people started going to them because they're full of minerals because they
Right.
were just so deep in the earth. By the time they make it to the pool, they're not scalding hot by any means. And so the companies got smart, and they're like, well, if people keep coming to these pools for free, what if we closed it off and made it an attraction? And so that's what they did, and put a really nice resort there. And so they have a day use area, which is where we were at, and they also had private rooms, hotel rooms on the other side.
Great. I mean, had 2 service bar areas that you could go up. They give you
In the
the
water.
pack
In the
in the
water.
water. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the package that we had, we gave us part of the tour. You get 1 drink, and then the rest of them you can purchase if you want. They give you like this little waterproof watch band that you can, and then you pay whenever you leave.
That was super cool. It's super cool because it's like a little like
It's
just a
electronic.
bracelet. Just looks like a
Yeah.
bracelet. There's nothing on it. Just looks like a bracelet, and it's got a little RFID in it. You use it as your credit card because you're in this hot. And they tell you, like, don't bring anything with you. It will ruin your cameras. It will ruin your credit cards.
It'll
Like,
ruin your hair too.
It'll ruin your hair. Yeah, literally, it'll ruin your hair. They have special conditioner for
That
your
you
hair that
Put
you
it
have
in
to
your
use.
hair, and they say leave in your hair while
Yeah.
you're in the pool, and then
Wow.
rinse it off when
It's-
you get out.
It's very volatile water because there's so much mineral. It's great for your skin. It's not good for anything else.
Wow.
So these little rubber wristband things, and so when you go to the thing, like I said, it was preloaded with 1 free drink, and then anything, alcohol, wine. They had wine, beer. They didn't have any like hard liquor, but they had wine, beer. They had
Did they have cocktails?
no,
It was just normal,
it was just
Plain
normal.
beer,
Yeah,
plain alcohol.
couple different beer options, couple wine options, or couple reds, couple whites, and like a sweet like a prosecco kind of thing. And then they had full soft drink menu option selection, and then they had water. And you could buy however many drinks you wanted, but you could only get 3 alcoholic beverages. They did limit you to that.
That's because you're in that hot
That's
water.
because you're in that hot water, and they don't want you getting wasted. Can you imagine how crazy it'd be if someone got drunk in that water? So
And then not happen until you step out of the water.
I know,
Yeah.
or just floating around, and you're like, "Whoa, I need a bench." We get, of course, now that's crazy. There's a line, right?
Yeah.
Like you get over there because everybody gets 1 free drink, and so this pool's huge. I mean, like, how big would you say it is?
It's
It's
big.
almost Olympic size.
I think it's bigger than Olympic.
Yeah.
It's bigger than Olympic, and it's not rectangular. It's very like
All
there's these
curves.
curves. These are little sections. There's an island. Like it's really neat.
It's all centered in the middle of a lava pit, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Like, there's
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
all kinds of ash and lava all around. I mean, it's literally down into the center of it.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like to get there,
So this is where the active volcano comes in.
yeah.
on the way from Reykjavik to here. It's about a hour-long drive. It was an hour and 45 minutes for us. And they didn't take away our time from the time in the pool, but they actually did extend the time of the tour, and we knew this ahead of time because, as y'all all saw in the news, Iceland was having an active volcano,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's right by this. And so the lava fields were coming down. They cut off the quicker route, so we had to go like way around this ridiculous route to get there, which I kind of appreciated because we saw a lot more stuff by doing this. And then we literally had to drive over cooled, brand new, fresh, hot lava. Steam is coming off the road. Like, if you've ever been down in the south and it rains on a hot day, the steam comes off the
Yeah.
asphalt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. It was a trip. Only it's cold outside, so why is there steam coming off the asphalt? It's fresh lava. And you literally got to see, like, this is what fresh, cooled lava looks like against old, 1,000-year-old lava. And, that was sad because, I mean, there's a whole town there that's completely cut off. If you live there, they're allowing you to go back, get your stuff so you can leave. Like, but you're not allowed to go there and, like, stay at your house, anything. And it's a big town that's completely cut off, and they don't know if that town will be rehabilitated or if it's just going to get leveled and everybody's going to get relocated.
Wow.
It's
That's sad.
very sad. And I heard that, and we've been to these other Icelandic towns where it's like real small, and it's like, okay, well, you're displacing not many people. This is a pretty good sized area. It was a lot. It was a way bigger area than I thought it was going to be. Way bigger town. And it was just, I mean, not that makes a difference. It's still a tragedy, but it's just more like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Getting there was a crazy trip. And then they did say, like, if you hear a siren that goes off, immediately go to the bus. We don't care what bus. We will all the bus drivers know they will rendezvous and they will sort the people out once they get out of the danger area. But if the siren goes off, they were like, just get to the first available bus and leave.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
Wow. I remember before you guys left, there was concern of being able to do this because
yes.
you had heard they cut the roads off, and then like a couple of days prior, they talked about
just
the
reopened.
reroute kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
And they
I'm
said
glad you got to see that.
the news I saw said it was reopened. Well, the Blue Lagoon was reopened. The road was not.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, it was great. The water was the perfect temperature.
It was-
And it was kind of cool because there were areas that were a little hotter than others. So if you did get like I'm a little overheated, you
Mhm.
could literally just swim 30 feet.
Wow.
And I say swim. I mean the water was only
Float.
4 foot deep
It's more
or
like
whatever.
float.
Yeah, you just float over to the other area and cool down a little bit. It was not cold or cool anyway. It was just not as hot.
Right.
They had these little private areas where you couldn't bring a cell phone. You had to keep quiet. We went over there and hung out for a little bit as well. That was kind of neat. The bridge going over it. They had another section where they had beds under the water where you could get like massages and facials, and they do
Wow.
pedicures and stuff while you're in that water. It was really like they ain't joking around. It's really nice.
That's cool.
And then the other, so he, like you mentioned, you got the bands. You can go get your drinks. What was the other booth? Because it was also interesting. I think Don was the only one that did it.
Oh, the facial mask?
Okay. I'm like, really?
Yeah, so that was part of the package as well. You can get the special facial mask and put on and everything. And Don was the only one that did that. Yeah,
How
It
was it?
It was so weird.
I didn't do it, so
It looked weird.
he never said if his skin was soft or.
Was it made with the
Yes.
I think it had,
volcanic-
The
but yeah,
lava? The
the
volcanic?
minerals
and the algae too that's in the water.
you know,
It they like came out of a bucket. And they like scooped it up and just put it on your hands and then let you. It wasn't for me.
do you rinse it in the water?
they had fresh running water
Yeah.
going into the pools, and you can go over there and just use your hands to wash it off.
But then it
after.
goes into the water.
Yeah,
Yep. And then the fresh water. No, not where the fresh water was, because there was a little. No. Yeah, I guess it did go in
Yeah.
the pool, didn't it? The nice thing about the fresh water too was it is drinking water. So they did say like if you have a cup or whatever, you can actually just go there and get water. You don't have to buy the expensive water.
Oh,
And Icelandic water is like Fiji water or like
right.
it's really delicious, great water, and it's So they're like, why buy a bottle of water when the stuff coming in the tap is literally like we ship it all over the world? I did end up buying a bottle of water. It was like $1.50. Who cares? But that was only because I wanted to be able to seal it and take it back on the bus with me. And I actually drank all my water and then refilled my bottle from the tap. They had 2 or 3 of those taps around the pool, which meant you always had to wait in a little bit of a line, but not much. It was just great. It was super relaxing. It started raining. Remember that? It started raining on us while we were in it, and it was just like, who
Oh,
cares?
well. Yeah,
Yeah, it was great.
that's cool.
Only weird thing. I know I think I've said a couple weird things, but I think the biggest weird thing is the in and out of the pool procedure.
Yeah.
It is everyone is required to take a full nude shower before being allowed into the pool.
Really?
Every single person.
Wow.
So are you nude getting in?
No. You wear trunks or swimsuit in, but you cannot shower in your swimsuit. You have to actually get fully naked, completely wash off, and then you can put your swim trunks on. And
That is weird.
very odd.
Because
So-
I think your swim trunks would hold a lot more than your body. Laundry soaps, fabric softeners.
I don't make the rules.
We heard from them, it used to be open shower,
Yes.
no walls.
And there still
anything.
is. There still is in both both men's and women. They do separate us, obviously. They do have the open showers because in Europe and in some places in around the world, really, people don't care about nakedness. It's just not a thing.
Right.
Us prudish pilgrims,
Yes.
we're the ones that are like, oh. And so they had a bunch of private showers, but they were nice and private, but it was weird. They were translucent glass, and it was just a shower. There was no area to put clothes on or take them off. So like I walked in with my bathing suit on and then closed the door, and then it's pretty small, so you got to figure out how to take them off and throw them over the door because there's literally attendants. Like they're paying attention to make sure you're doing this. So throw the swim trunks over the door so they know you actually are showering. And then they had the body wash and the shampoo and the conditioner, like we talked about, which are all really high end products. You know, when you're showering, you can tell like, oh, this was expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
This was all really nice stuff. They were not trying to be weird or scrimp on anything. It's just they want to protect that pool water. You do that, and then when you come back, obviously you have to as well. I guess you don't have to,
But you want to.
but after being in that
Yeah.
water, you
with
want
all the
to.
salts.
All that salt on your skin and all the minerals and stuff, you want to get it off you. And
Plus, if you ended up with it in your hair,
yeah,
people who put conditioner in their hair got to get it out.
well, I had to wash my hair I didn't leave the conditioner in my hair because they said I don't have the hair would be an issue, and it was pretty short at that point. But I did shower and condition my hair afterwards because you could just tell. I don't know how to describe like incredibly hard water. That's what like imagine the hardest water you've ever experienced and then multiply it by 10 and then take algae and put it in your hair. Like silica. Like that part was wild.
Yeah.
But it was a wonderful experience. We were the last people back to the bus.
Very,
Yeah.
very.
Was that the end of Iceland
Uh,
for your
y-
14 days?
Yep. From there, we went to Ireland.
Oh. Oh, what did you do there?
That was kind of a quick part of the trip. We
Mhm.
actually only had like 4 or 5 hours in Dublin. Like
No,
they,
we had longer in Dublin, but we didn't have an excursion. No, we did have an excursion.
yeah, they took us to the city of Dublin, and they were like, "Okay, meet us back here in like 4 hours."
Yeah.
and-
The whole trip, the whole excursion was like 6 or 7 hours, but you only had 4 hours in Dublin. They dropped us off at Art Museum, and
Yeah.
we did what everybody does responsibly, and we went straight to a tavern. If you're in Dublin, you got to go to the pub.
You got to.
Even if you go get a
You got to.
Pepsi and have some cheese, you got to go to the. That's a thing where I come from, Pepsi and cheese. Anyways, you got to go and like experience a little bit and listen to the guy playing the guitar and singing the Irish songs and
Yeah,
like
The ditties.
it was a lot of fun. It
It
was
was.
really cool. The food was great.
Packed.
It
with
packed. It
people.
was a packed house. Went to Temple Bar in Temple Bar area, like the OG of OGs.
We
It
were
was
able to get a table together.
we were able to get a table together. Everything was exactly the way you thought it would be. I kept telling them it's like when you go to Disneyland and you go to the Irish pub at Disneyland, and it's like, wow, Disney really studied these places and got all the right parts and pieces and everything. This is like that, but 600 years old. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
fun.
been that same thing for ages.
Right.
And it
Their
was
their greenery out of this world.
oh yeah,
Plants galore.
plants, flowers everywhere. Like it was you could definitely tell it was old, and you could definitely tell it was kept up, and it was really nice.
I was
Um,
trying to figure out, did they do it better in London or in Dublin? Like the greenery.
Man,
I
that's a
thought
tough
Dublin.
one.
I thought Dublin was a little
Dublin
extra.
felt more authentic, and I think because it doesn't have the money behind it that England, like London has. You know what I mean? Like Dublin's not a highfalutin. Like I don't think we saw a Louis Vuitton store. I don't think we saw
No.
a Christian Dior store. Like they didn't have that kind of stuff there. So
A lot more local
a
stuff.
lot more local. That was one thing too about like that area. Remember I said I don't like those Disneyland type places or whatever. Um, there's people living above us. Like we're at this bar and above us is apartments, and you know what I mean. Like
Right.
people just live in that area. It's kind of like if you go to New Orleans and you go to the French Quarter, people live in the French Quarter. You're actually in someone's home turf, and so I really appreciated that. The one of the restaurants we ate at, we were in Dublin, was really good food. It was huge portions, gigantic portions. None of us finished what we were eating, but it's a local. That was a local dive restaurant. Like it was not on the main strip. It was not whatever. It just had 10,000 positive reviews, so we kind of sought it out and went to it. Had a great meal, and it was actually very reasonably priced too. It was really good. I think y'all got the fish and.
I did.
Okay. And
That's
so, yeah, and so that was really fun. Did we go to Belfast too on that trip?
We did. Where they made the Titanic.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We didn't explore that though.
No, we skipped
They
right
talked
past it.
about it and on the tour that we were on. Belfast was a little weird for me. Like it was more.
It is Northern Ireland, not
Yeah.
Ireland.
Mhm.
There's a big difference. If you know your
What's the
history.
word I'm looking for though? It's more just conflict and
Yeah,
things
it's
going.
war torn.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the site of
Right.
like
Oh,
the,
it's war torn. I like that.
it's the site of where they
You'd say,
had.
you'd say it's politically tense.
Yeah, they had the IRA. That's where the IRA is based out of. That's the Irish
Republican Army.
Republic. Yeah, and it's where like all the car bombings happened and stuff, and all those.
I was gonna say it's not politically correct to go into a bar and ask for an Irish car bomb.
Do not do that. And so I knew all that, but it's been decades, so I figured by now it'd be fine. But it's not at all.
It's not.
They are
Well, their ceasefire, their treaty is still relatively new.
yes, and they still have a wall that divides the two areas. And it's still they close the wall every night and reopen it the next morning, and all the walls have police presence, and at any moment if things get too hot, they'll close it and shut it down. Like that's the kind of stuff that was like shocking. Like I
Yeah.
had no idea that part of I don't want to say civilization, but whatever still existed.
Sure.
I didn't know. I wouldn't expect that at all. I knew we were going to go see the wall. It was part of the tour we are going to do. I thought we were going to go see this is what is remaining of the old
Right.
wall,
Right.
not
This is the active wall.
this is the active wall and we have to keep the peace.
Yeah.
That really surprised me.
How tall would you say the wall was?
25 feet, 30 feet, something like that.
Wow.
At least
Yeah.
2 stories tall,
Yeah.
Wow.
with the net
Barbed
barbed
wire
wire
and
on
everything,
top
yeah.
of that.
And it's two-sided, so there's one wall here, there's a big gap. But they
Like
actually
a neutral zone,
it's
kind of.
but they actually businesses and stuff there, so
Okay.
they're using that space. It's not like cleared out like
Right.
other places have done. But it's at nighttime it's no man's land, and they have another wall on the other side. The wall's completely covered with political propaganda, and it
Sure.
literally depends on which side of the wall you're on as to
Yeah.
what they have. It was the strangest thing.
And can you go between the two if the gates are open?
If the gates are open, it's totally fine.
Until
We
the-
did. We
Until
went.
until the gates close at night.
Mhm.
And which side do you want to be on when they close?
Depends on your
Affiliation.
beliefs.
Yeah, I don't think neither. How do I put this? Neither neighborhood felt like this is the safe one and that's the unsafe one.
Right.
Ah,
They are just two very different minded people both neighborhoods seemed about the same level of safe. They seemed like they had the same type of houses. There was no like, oh, we've crossed the tracks and now all of a sudden we're in a slum.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. It's just two people who don't get along.
And foreigners are welcome in Belfast?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yep. There's a big Jewish population there. There's a big Muslim population there. Obviously, in Northern Ireland, the whole thing is Catholics versus Protestants.
Right.
So that definitely depends on which side of the wall you're on.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting. Now, when you go downtown Ireland, the wall's not there. Or downtown Belfast, rather, the wall's not there. It's only when you get just outside of downtown that the wall starts. But they had a lot of buildings where you could still see where the bombs were happened and such. There was a huge area where a movie theater used to be, and they blew the movie theater up. And so they'd actually erected a temporary pub, like an outdoor pub with like concert grounds and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of weird, which was meant to be a temporary thing, but it's permanent now. At this point, it's been there
Wow.
for years. So I don't know. It's really interesting to see. There's a lot of that history is still there. It's not that far removed from it at all.
And they have two types of division. One of them has to do with their religion, Protestant Catholic. The other division is the people who want to be a part of England, and the others that want their own country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's the whole loyalist versus the nationalist, and well, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
Definitely.
It was not at all what I was expecting. I feel very much like you. It's like shocking. So if you get a chance, go. Just
How long were you there for?
That was another.
that was a pretty long trip. 5 hours maybe.
Yeah,
About 5 hours. Went and saw the Capitol building. It was beautiful. Yeah.
The-
Nice.
the whole Titanic things where they built that and everything in Belfast. He said they liked to joke. Whenever it left there, it did not sink.
Functioning
Yeah,
properly.
it
Functioning
was perfectly
properly.
functioning when it left. So we left there, and then was that it?
That was it. We were back on the boat. Back to the Dover.
A day at sea, and then we back to Dover. And part of the reason why I get a little bit of this confused or blurred a little bit is because when we got to Dover, Jerry and Don got off the ship, took a train, waited 2 days, and then flew home.
Oh,
A little bit of a scheduling mishap.
Just a little.
Just neither here nor there.
Now we did have a little trouble coming back home once we got back to
New York?
leaving London. We were okay, but when we landed in New York, we stayed at a hotel that night. Got up early the next morning. They had really really bad fog. We ended up having to sit on the runway for like almost 2 hours, just sitting there
Wow.
waiting.
Wow.
in the plane?
Yeah. We were taxiing out, and then they had a whole line of them, and they just stopped all of us, and we had to
Ground
just
stop.
sit there.
Yep.
Yeah, but we finally got out, and then made it back home.
Wow.
That's rough.
Yeah. Did they let you get up and serve you water
Well,
and coffee or anything?
Like they would get a little bit of a clearing or something, and they'd let a plane take off and everything, and they kept coming on, and they would say, like, hey, if you need to go, we want you to go, but you have to be seated. We can't move on the taxiway
So nobody's
if you're
wanting to
outside
get
your
up.
seat.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of like that point of, if you've seen someone get up, you're like, sit down, we can't move. Like, But on the other hand, if you had to go, then they
Right,
were like,
yeah.
I've got to go. And then
Don-
we would have to sit there.
Don had to go at one point, and he started walking away, and Jerry yanked him right back to his seat, and he's like, 10,000 feet. You can do it at 10,000 feet.
Just hold it a little bit longer.
That's
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know about any of this because Eric and I stayed on the boat, and we were up in the not atrium, the pool area where they
Lido.
had the Lido deck, and just kind of watching the city, taking pictures and stuff. Just really appreciating Dover, the cliffs and everything. It's really, really beautiful. They got a big castle up there on the top. It's beautiful. I look over, and guess who I see?
not Jerry and Don.
No, Jerry and Don left already.
It wasn't us.
No, it wasn't us.
my dad and my sister.
Really? Another
Wow.
surprise.
Another surprise.
Wow.
Thankfully, again, we planned it.
Wow.
And so no, they had actually flown over the day before, and they took the train down there, and they joined us, and we went on a cruise.
It's funny, since they're not there here to tell their story of travel, I'll share what I know about it.
Pray tell.
So they were supposed to fly from here in Columbus to JFK and then on to London.
Okay.
Their flight got rerouted through Detroit and
What?
then JFK to London.
Oh, it did. Oh, I forgot
Yeah,
all
they
about
were
that.
rerouted through Detroit.
I remember
yeah.
that text message.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So lots of travel issues this summer.
Oh, and they freaked out too. I remember this. Like okay. When they reassigned them, they assigned Melissa a seat
Right.
and did not assign Dad a seat.
Right. Correct.
So they're like, so does this mean Melissa's gonna make it and I'm not? Like, what's happening here? And I'm like, you should really talk to your gate agent. And they were like, well, we're inside the restaurant at the airport eating. And I'm like, that's not a good place to
Yeah.
be. You need to get to the you need to get to the gate agent like
Yeah.
now. And so they did. When they got over there, they said seats have not been assigned because we have to manually sign them. Melissa must have just got her ticket in just before the system like locked them out of it. But they're like, you're on the list and you have a seat. We just haven't literally
Right.
manually put it in yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, once that was done, their flights went pretty good. But I forgot all about that.
I'm looking forward to later on in our story time.
Oh, I know you are. So yeah, Melissa and Dad got there, and we began our adventure.
Did you do Iceland again? Or was it a different adventure?
Well,
Because you didn't get off the boat.
you know what we should do?
Yeah.
Let's find out next week.
Yeah. Good idea.
All right.
Yeah. Little cliffhanger.
Y'all have a good
A
one.
cliffhanger. Oh, that's
Enjoy
funny.
a cliffhanger, a Dover cliffhanger.
That salty cliffhanger.
That's awesome. Look, I know we didn't talk a whole lot about their company or what we do or why we're even doing this podcast. We hope you've enjoyed your time. If you like what you're hearing, please hit that like and subscribe button. Touch all the buttons you see. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. It still helps us.
And don't
It
forget,
does.
this is just a
Interaction.
quick little intermission between summer to catch you up.
Yeah.
When we come back,
Absolutely.
we're going to have all those trucking questions and all that
Yes.
good stuff.
Next week, you're going to hear part 2 of all this, where we're going to find out about our second loop around Iceland, or will you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And then we've got some more exciting stuff. I can't wait to hear about the Lokeshire summer, because I
Yeah,
know I already
it
know
was
some things, and
interesting.
I'm excited about that. So join us next week. You can catch us on YouTube. You can hear us the podcast version of this anywhere you get your podcast from. If there's anything you want to talk about season 3, drop us a comment. You can email us at
The Outerbelt Podcast at gmail.com.
and
Like, subscribe, share with a friend.
Yep.
We're on all the socials.
absolutely.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
All right. In the meantime, stay safe. Make good decisions.
Don't leave money on the table.
And keep those wheels a turning.
Good night.